What if I told you that Britain's biggest teenage drug boss was caught not in a dark alley, but under the flashing lights of a glamorous Ibiza nightclub? A baby-faced schoolboy who began his criminal career at just 10 years old. And by 23, ran a £20 million international drug smuggling empire. This is the story of Eddie Burton, the quiet mastermind behind hundreds of kilos of heroin, cocaine, and ketamine smuggled into the UK. How did a kid from Liverpool escape notice for so long? And what brought down a criminal network so vast, so methodical, right under our noses? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll uncover every detail, from the schoolboy dealer to the international manhunt, from the glamorous gangster's mole to the courtroom drama that closed this case. And at the end, I want to hear from you. Was Eddie Burton a victim of circumstance, a brilliant criminal, or something darker? Liverpool, early 2010s. A city of gritty streets and tight-knit communities. Among them, a young boy with a face too innocent to draw suspicion, Eddie Burton. At just 10 years old, Eddie was already drawn into a world few adults would dare to enter. His first role? A street-level drug runner, carrying plastic bags for older dealers. His baby face was his camouflage. He looked like any other child, but he was far from ordinary. By 13, Eddie wasn't just running errands. He was learning the system, when to talk, when to vanish, how to spot police before they even arrived. His upbringing was chaotic. Family described him as a tearaway, but beneath the defiance was a keen mind learning a dangerous trade. But this wasn't chaos. This was control. At 16, Eddie stopped running for others. He started giving orders. He was no longer the courier, he was the planner. Liverpool taught Eddie the streets. But it was Amsterdam, with its shadows and hidden networks, that gave him scale. At 19, Eddie disappeared. No goodbye, no missing persons report. Just a flight abroad and a new name on a lease. A quiet move, but a seismic shift in his life. What do you think motivated Eddie to take this leap? Was it ambition, fear, or something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Amsterdam, a city long linked to international drug trafficking, a place where fortunes are made in shadows. For Eddie Burton, it was a fresh start and a vast opportunity. Gone were the days of running small errands. Here, Eddie began building a business, not just moving drugs, but managing a supply chain that stretched across borders. His base was a modest flat in the north of the city, unremarkable to the casual eye, but inside, it was a hive of criminal activity. Vacuum packing machines hummed quietly as kilos of cocaine, heroin, and ketamine were prepared for shipment. His partner in this operation? Sian Banks, a Liverpool woman drawn not just by love, but by the allure of the lifestyle Eddie's rising empire promised. She was glamorous, young, and ambitious. But behind the designer bags and yacht photos on social media, Sian was no bystander. She was a crucial link, regularly traveling between Liverpool and Europe, flying nearly every month between June 2022 and October 2023. On more than one occasion, she smuggled drugs in her luggage. Bold, brazen, and calculated. Messages later recovered revealed their candid conversations about shipments, coded talks about tops, cocaine, bits, packages. In one message, after the first major seizure at Dover, Sian panicked about her fingerprints on the packaging. Burton reassured her, "You've never been nicked or had your prints taken, so it doesn't matter." But police had other plans. Border Force officers at Dover stopped 2 lorries in the summer of 2022. One, on July 3, concealed 90 kilos of ketamine and 50 kilos of cocaine, hidden in boxes and even a little shopping bag. 6 weeks later, a second lorry was stopped. This time, 142 kilos of cocaine and 25 kilos of heroin were found inside a modified fuel tank, industrial-grade concealment, designed to evade detection. The street value? A staggering £20 million. Forensics connected Eddie Burton directly. His fingerprints and DNA were found on the packaging inside both lorries. Sian Banks' fingerprints were found on the ketamine bags. This was no accident. No random courier. They were the architects. By now, the operation had grown too large to ignore. The National Crime Agency launched a manhunt. Yet, Eddie kept moving, through Amsterdam, Germany, and Spain. What makes someone run a drug empire across Europe? Is it greed, survival, or sheer cunning? What do you think drives such audacity? Let me know your thoughts below. Do you think Eddie and Sean were masterminds, pawns, or something in between? After the seizures at Dover, the pressure mounted. The evidence was clear: Burton and Banks were no small-time players. The National Crime Agency's Joint International Crime Center, working with Dutch and Spanish authorities, intensified their hunt. Burton, now 23, was no longer just a shadow moving through cities. He was a ghost with a name that law enforcement across Europe was eager to capture. His location? Ibiza. The island, famous for its beaches and nightlife, was a perfect hiding spot. But it was also his downfall. In August 2023, intelligence placed Burton inside Pacha nightclub, the hotspot for Europe's elite. Under the flashing lights and pulsating music, Spanish police moved in. Eddie Burton did not resist arrest. No dramatic chase. No shouting. Just quiet inevitability. He was using the alias Ewan Banks, a name chosen to mask his identity. But his fingerprints betrayed him. The man who orchestrated the smuggling from afar was finally in custody. From Liverpool streets to Amsterdam flats, from Dover's ports to Ibiza's clubs, the net was closing. Months of surveillance, intercepted messages, phone forensics, and coordinated operations had paid off. Yet, even in custody, Burton's story was far from over. What would you do if you were Burton, caught in the middle of a multi-million-pound empire? Fight or fold? Let me know your take below. While Burton fled across borders, Sean Banks remained the linchpin in the UK. Her Instagram told one story: yachts, designer bags, exotic holidays. But behind the filtered images was a woman deeply entwined in a criminal enterprise. Her role was more than just the gangster's mole. She was the organizer, the one laundering millions, coordinating shipments, and managing logistics. Between June 2022 and October 2023, she traveled frequently to Europe, always alone, always brief stays. On 2 trips, she smuggled cocaine and ketamine in her luggage, flying under the radar at Liverpool John Lennon Airport. Messages recovered from her phone revealed conversations about drug quantities, drop-off points, and coded warnings about law enforcement. She even ran a parallel scam during the COVID-19 pandemic, selling forged travel documents, facilitating movement across borders when restrictions tightened. A side hustle? Or a strategic tool to keep the operation afloat? Her bank account showed unexplained deposits amounting to nearly £43,000, money moved to support Burton while he was on the run. But in December 2023, the police closed in. A quiet knock on her Liverpool doorstep marked the end of her freedom. Unlike Burton, who faced a multi-agency manhunt, Banks was arrested at home, surrounded by evidence that left little room for doubt. She pleaded guilty to 7 charges, including importing Class A drugs and money laundering. Her sentencing was swift. 5 years behind bars. Was Sean just a victim of love or a cold criminal? What's your verdict? Drop your thoughts below. The seizures at Dover were only the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, forensic experts and digital detectives were piecing together a sprawling network that stretched across Europe. Burton's fingerprints and DNA were not found on the drugs by chance. They traced back to the very rooms where the drugs were packaged, a flat in Amsterdam's North End, where vacuum packing machines hummed day and night. His partner, Sean Banks, had visited frequently, her presence confirmed by hotel records, flight logs, and phone data. Every movement, every message, became a thread in the web. Encrypted chats recovered from burner phones revealed coded conversations, snowflake emojis indicating cocaine, pill emojis hinting at ketamine. They spoke in riddles. 135 bits meant packages prepared for shipment, Chogs was a name dropped often, the person Burton owed a debt to, a shadowy figure pulling strings from behind the curtain. Banks was not just a courier, she was a fixer. Laundering money, coordinating clean couriers, changing routes when suspicion rose. During the pandemic, when borders closed and travel stalled, Banks adapted, running a scheme selling forged COVID-19 documents to keep the operation moving, a sinister form of opportunism and survival. Every layer peeled back revealed more complexity, more cold calculation. This was no impulsive criminal, this was a well-oiled enterprise with a ruthless core. Have you ever wondered how criminals think they can stay invisible in the digital age? Do you think the tech we use every day can be a trap? Share your thoughts below. By early 2025, the weight of evidence was undeniable. Burton and Banks faced the full might of British justice at Canterbury Crown Court. Burton, the boy who once ran errands for older dealers, now stood accused of orchestrating multi-million-pound drug shipments. Banks, the woman whose glamorous social media masked her role as the operation's UK linchpin, faced charges that would dismantle her life. In court, Burton shocked observers by submitting a letter claiming coercion and threats to his family, allegations hinting at a modern slavery. But as the judge noted, the evidence spoke loudly against any suggestion that Burton was merely a victim. Banks pleaded guilty on the first day, accepting responsibility for 7 offences. Importing Class A drugs and money laundering among them. Sentencing was swift, Burton, sentenced to 24 years, Banks, 5 years. The judge described Burton as methodical, a coordinator of exceptional reach, and Banks as indispensable to the operation, no passive player. The National Crime Agency called it a stark warning: the modern drug trade is no longer about violence and bravado alone. It's about encrypted messages, fake documents, and the illusion of invisibility. What's your take on these sentences? Too harsh, too lenient, or just right? Tell us in the comments, your voice matters. The story of Eddie Burton and Sian Banks is not just a tale of crime and punishment. It's a mirror held up to communities struggling with the harsh realities of drug trafficking, exploitation, and lost youth. Liverpool, a city steeped in history and resilience, has long wrestled with the scourge of county lines. A violent, complex web where drugs flow through vulnerable young people acting as couriers and foot soldiers. Eddie's journey from a 10-year-old runner to an international drug mastermind is extreme, yet it echoes a much larger, troubling trend. Youth, bright, impressionable, pulled into a shadow economy that promises fast money but delivers destruction. Families fractured, neighborhoods scarred, lives lost. Police efforts have intensified, but the networks adapt. Using technology, new routes, and unsuspecting accomplices to evade capture. Banks and Burton's case was a warning shot, showing how modern drug operations can be slick, businesslike, and ruthless. But it also raises hard questions. How do we protect the young from slipping into this life? What role do communities, schools, and governments play in prevention? Can enforcement alone dismantle such deep-rooted problems? Do you think enough is being done to protect young people from drug crime? What more should be done? Share your ideas, your voice could help start change. As Eddie Burton's 2-decade criminal saga comes to a close behind prison walls, the echoes of his story continue to resonate, as a caution, a tragedy, and a challenge. A boy who once carried plastic bags on Liverpool streets now serves as a stark example of ambition turned dark, a warning that sometimes innocence masks a dangerous truth. Sian Banks' glamorous facade hid a role that was critical to the enterprise, showing how the drug trade can wear many faces. This case forces us to look beyond headlines, to see the human stories, the choices, the systems that allow such operations to flourish. And now, I want to hear from you. What do you think drives young people into crime? Could Eddie have taken a different path? Are Sian's actions the product of love, greed, or desperation? Your theories and insights make this community vibrant and aware. If you found this deep dive into Britain's biggest teenage drug boss revealing, hit that like button. Subscribe for more chilling true crime stories, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Share this video to raise awareness. And most importantly, Comment below with your thoughts. Let's talk about solutions, not just stories. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.